So many people have diabetes, but the confusion around it is almost as widespread as the condition itself. So let's cut right through all that noise. In the next few minutes, you're going to understand exactly what's happening inside your body, the key warning signs to look out for, and most importantly, how you can start taking back control. All right, let's jump in. Okay, if you remember just one thing from this whole explainer, make it this image right here. Think of your body as a house. The glucose you get from food, that's the energy, the fuel, just trying to get inside to power everything. But to get in, it needs a key, and that key is insulin. And that's really it. At its core, diabetes is just a problem with that key and not lock. Right, so how does a system that sounds so simple actually break down? Well, it turns out there are really two main ways this can happen, and it all comes down to a problem with either the keys themselves or with the locks they're supposed to open. This is the big difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. With type 1, the problem is simple. There are no keys. The body's own immune system gets confused and attacks the very cells in the pancreas that are supposed to make insulin. It's basically a case of friendly fire. The result? No keys get made and the glucose is locked out of your cells. Now, with type 2, it's a totally different story. The keys are there. The pancreas is making insulin just fine. The real problem? It's the locks. The cells have become what we call resistant, so the key just doesn't fit in the lock properly anymore. And this is what happens over time in type 2. Think about it. Your pancreas is working overtime, pumping out more and more insulin, more and more keys, trying to force open those jammed locks. But you can only do that for so long, right? Eventually, that pancreas just gets exhausted, it gets worn out, and can't keep up. So now you've got a double whammy, jammed locks and fewer keys. So all this drama with keys and jammed locks, it's all happening inside, at a microscopic level. So how on earth do you know it's happening? What are the SOS signals your body sends out when all that fuel starts piling up in your blood? Yeah, the classic, textbook symptoms of high blood sugar. Doctors actually call them the 3 Ps. They sound kind of technical, I know, but they describe a really simple and powerful chain reaction happening inside your body. Okay, so P number 1 is polyuria. When you've got too much sugar floating around in your blood, your body kind of panics and tries to get rid of it. Your kidneys go into overdrive, filtering that extra glucose out into your urine. And here's the key thing to get. Sugar is like a magnet for water. Wherever that glucose goes, water gets pulled right along with it. This makes you have to go to the bathroom way more often, because your body is dumping both the sugar and a ton of water. And of course, that leads us right to P number 2, polydipsia, which is just a fancy way of saying you're incredibly thirsty. All that peeing is making you dehydrated, and your brain sounds the alarm, sending this urgent, powerful signal to drink more water. And you can see how this creates a really frustrating cycle, right? The more you drink, the more you have to go. And then there's the third P, polyphagia, which is maybe the most ironic one of the bunch. It means you're super hungry. Check out this paradox. Your bloodstream is swimming in energy, more glucose than your body knows what to do with. But because those keys and locks aren't working, that fuel can't get into your cells. So your cells are literally starving, and they're sending frantic feed me signals to your brain, which just makes you want to eat more and, add even more sugar to the problem. Okay, so let's say you're having some of these symptoms. How do doctors actually figure out what's really going on? They need a way to see past the ups and downs of any single day and get the long-term picture. Well, that's where this really clever blood test comes into play. I absolutely love this analogy because it's just perfect. A daily finger prick test is useful for sure, but the HbA1c test, it gives your doctor the whole story. It's the difference between looking at one single photo versus reviewing the entire security footage. So what is this thing actually measuring? It's actually remarkably simple. As glucose zips around in your bloodstream, a little bit of it naturally gets sticky and attaches itself to your red blood cells. So the HbA1c test just measures what percentage of your red blood cells have gotten, sugar-coated over the last few months. So think about the difference this way. That daily finger prick test, that's a snapshot, a Polaroid. It tells you your blood sugar at that exact second. But it can change based on the bagel you just ate, or if you just went for a run. But the HbA1c, that's the whole CCTV footage. It shows you the average, the big picture of how your glucose has been behaving for weeks and months on end. Okay, but why 3 months? Why that specific number? It's not just random. There's a really precise biological reason why it's a 3-month average. And boom, there's your answer. The average red blood cell, its lifespan, is about 3 months. So, by measuring how much sugar has stuck to these cells over their lifetime, doctors get this incredibly reliable average of your blood sugar levels. It's a brilliant way to see the real trend, to get past all that daily noise.
All right, so you get that test back, and the numbers show your blood sugar is, well, it's high, but not quite in the diabetes range yet. This is prediabetes. And honestly, this is where the whole story shifts from being about a diagnosis to being about empowerment.
Yeah, the best way to think about prediabetes is like a warning light on your car's dashboard. It's your body yelling, hey, the system's under stress. The locks are starting to jam up, but you haven't broken down yet. It's giving you a heads up that there's time to pull over and fix the issue. And listen, this might be the single most important thing to take away from all this. A prediabetes diagnosis, it's not a life sentence, it's a crossroads. It is one of the most reversible conditions out there, giving you the power to actually choose a different path and turn the ship around. So how do you do it? How do you actually turn things around? Well, the science points to 4 really powerful and interconnected strategies. First up, losing just a little bit of weight. Even 5 to 7% of your body weight can make a huge difference in how sensitive your cells are to insulin. It's like it helps unjam those locks. Second, getting about 150 minutes of movement a week, think a brisk walk, helps your muscles soak up glucose more effectively. Third, focusing your meals around protein and fiber. That slows down how fast sugar hits your blood and keeps you feeling full. And finally, just cutting back on refined carbs and sugary drinks, that gives your poor pancreas a much-needed vacation from all those sugar spikes. Look, I know those steps can seem like a lot all at once, but it never starts that way. It always starts with just one small change. So the question I want to leave you with is pretty simple. Looking at that list, what's one small thing you can do today? Maybe it's just a 10-minute walk after lunch, or swapping one soda for a glass of water. That one little step, that's how you start. Thanks for tuning in.